Cassie said in her testimony today, she alleged that whenever they would come, when they did come on her, Diddy would want her to keep it. They would go into a separate room and she would have to rub it on him. And they would go into the next room and allegedly Diddy would want...
Oh, hell no!
You already know what it is. It's your boy Laid Back with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bet? Bah.
Bitch, I'm drowning up in it. Most of you niggas is lazy. Half of you niggas fugazi. Yeah, I be spitting that crack shit, cause I was born in the 80s.
It's your boy Laid Back. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we gotta do. You gotta hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. You are the prize in 2025. You are the prize in 2025. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos we back. You already know what's going on. Y'all know it's going crazy right now in the news, the whole Diddy thing. So we got updated TikToks about what's going on with the Diddy situation. But even up to this point, it might be even more updates that come out as this video drops, because you already know this is an everyday thing. So just stick around if you want to stay up to date, man. But look, you make it to the end of this one, you a real one for real. Make sure you put that in the comments. Share this with the last person you text in your phone, but be careful because this might be crazy. But I got a TikTok playlist as well. If you into this stuff, you can binge watch. I got a lot of crazy stuff in the vault. But let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad, why's it popping? Let's get it.
Cassie has officially taken the stand and she's currently given her testimony. And while she's doing that, let's talk about the first witness. The first witness for today has just finished. Daniel Phillip, who is a male worker, testified yesterday, and you can click on the comment if you haven't already seen that. They obviously picked up where they left off, which was cross-examination and then redirect. Yesterday, when Daniel Phillip testified, he said that it would be anywhere from an hour to 10 hours whenever they would have these encounters. We left off where he was talking about the one time he was at Cassie's home and he saw Diddy grab Cassie by the face, drag her into the room, and then he heard what he thought was Diddy slapping her. He said he later asked Cassie why she was still with Diddy, and she said, "It's okay, I'm okay," although she was visibly shaken. He also recalled another incident at a Manhattan hotel where there was violence, and he said that Cassie was shaken and she was terrified. He says the two of them ended up having organically, but because he was disturbed emotionally, he was having dysfunction. He said Diddy had come out of the room and asked them if they were ready to continue. But during cross, the defense pointed out that Daniel Phillip had told police something different in 2023. Apparently in 2023, Daniel's testimony then was Diddy came out and said, "Yo man, I need to deal with this. You need to get the F out." But Daniel said he doesn't remember saying that. The defense did press hard during cross, and they tried to show that Cassie was a willing participant. They emphasized that she paid for hotel rooms and she would often initiate contact with Phillip. They asked him if she was in complete control of what she was doing, to which he responded, "I cannot say that." They then showed a text message from Daniel Phillip to Cassie, and this was after the assault, where he said, "Don't give a F if I'm a little tipsy. I love y'all." But Daniel said he sent that text message because he was trying to prove that everything was okay and to keep it going. Diddy's attorneys tried to say that Daniel thought he was in a relationship with Cassie, that he was jealous of Diddy's relationship with her. He denied that he ever thought he was in a relationship with Cassie, but said that he would have gone on a date with her if given the chance. Also clarified that Diddy did give directions when they were doing their acts. That Diddy would tell them what positions to use to put more baby oil on, which was different than other clients because he was used to being more in control. Once cross was over, they redirected back to the prosecutors, who tried to emphasize that Phillip was emotionally distressed by the abuse. And he reiterated that he only received payment if he physically performed, but if he couldn't, he would receive nothing. Now, that was everything with Daniel, and I will be back later with Cassie's testimony.
Whoa, do your own research, but whoa, you don't get paid.
Diddy's trial just started, and within minutes, his own daughters got up and walked out of the courtroom. And here's why. I'm going to avoid as many triggering words as I can so this does not get taken down. Here goes. So it starts with testimony from Daniel Phillip, a former escort, who says Diddy paid him to be with Cassie while he watched from the corner. Yep, you heard that right. And as soon as the details got graphic, his daughters, all 18 and sitting next to his mother, got up and left the room. They came back, but the moment the testimony kept going, they dipped again. And that's just the beginning. Phillip also told the jury that he heard Diddy beating Cassie in the other room during one of these setups and dragging her by the hair.
Dang.
For saying the words, "Hold on." And remember the elevator assault from 2016? Yep, that was shown to the jury too. the same video Diddy allegedly paid $100,000 to bury. The guard later testified that Diddy handed him a stack of cash topped with a $100 bill and said, "Take care of this and don't tell anyone." This was all on day one, and tomorrow, Cassie herself is expected to take the stand, as pregnant as she is, after years of alleged physical, emotional, and psychological abuse. From courtroom walkouts to buried footage, this trial is unearthing everything. Follow now, because the next 48 hours could change it all.
I just came out of opening statements at the Diddy trial, and the prosecution led with a lot of stuff about Cassie, which we expected. They spoke about the freak-offs, the days-long drug-fueled orgies, but they gave very graphic detail, so just a warning about stuff that she did during those freak-offs as she felt she was forced to do. One of them is having a male commercial sex worker urinate in her mouth to the point where she felt like she was choking. She was also, they say, beaten multiple times, including one event in 2009 where Diddy allegedly threw her to the floor in a vehicle and repeatedly stomped on her face. And then in order for that to not get out, moved her into a hotel for a couple of days where she was guarded by some of his employees so that people wouldn't see her with bruises on her face. I'll continue to do updates, but I think Cassie's going to turn up this afternoon to testify, or that's what we've been told, so we're going to be in there for that as well.
Stomping on her face, bruh?
Today was day 2 of Sean Diddy Cohn's criminal trial, and folks, I'm getting a little worried about the prosecutors and all of this because they haven't really made a strong enough argument regarding the charges he's currently faced with. Before I get into that, let's talk about what happened today. Cassie, who is his longtime ex-girlfriend, she got up on that testimony stand and did an incredible job. At 8.5 months pregnant, she did an incredible job at speaking up on her behalf. Now, it's very, very obvious, and the defense isn't even arguing this. It's very, very obvious that Diddy's a creep, and it's very, very obvious that he was abusive. Again, during their opening statements, they said you're going to see things that are going to paint him out to be a monster. And that CNN footage that you guys saw of him assaulting Cassie, well, they're not denying that either. But folks, he's not facing assault charges. He's not facing blackmail charges. He's facing racketeering and sex trafficking charges. So far, I haven't heard anything related to racketeering being made in that public courtroom. Haven't heard anything. In regard to trafficking, yes, it does look like he did pay sex workers to have sex with Cassie. But here's the key point. Were they transported across state lines? Or were they in the area? Well, I don't know, because they haven't really addressed that as of yet. So that's going to be a key point that we're going to want to hear from the prosecutors on. They've got some time still. Don't get me wrong. It's still very early, but I want to warn you all. Yes, he is abusive. Yes, what he did was egregious. Yes, is he into creepy things? Absolutely. The guy, I mean, she even talks about it, how he always wanted her soaked in baby oil. I can't even say that without wanting to puke. But is baby oil a crime? No, it's not. The prosecutors are going to have to ramp it up a little bit if they really want to drive this home. If they really want to get Diddy convicted, they need to prove that racketeering and sex trafficking took place. As of right now, he's guilty of what? Being a creep? Being an abuser? But they're not charging him with that. They're charging him, again, with racketeering and sex trafficking. So the prosecutors, they've got to bring it over these next few days if they're actually looking for a conviction.
A 4-day-long freak-off? Guilty. Diddy is guilty. That is insane. So for those of you who haven't been able to keep up on the Diddy trials, Cassie took the stand today, and they asked her what was the longest freak-off she participated in. And she said 4 days long. Yeah. Leaving her needing to recover from dehydration and that stuff that they was using. Y'all thought y'all was out here doing something with them honey packs and them perkies. But 4 days long? It feels like elderly abuse for me to have to stay up past 11 o'clock at night. Okay? After 11, if I'm forced to stay awake, that needs to be reported to somebody. Now imagine having to be a participant at one of those parties for 96 hours. Damn. That is criminal. That is heinous. Lock him up and throw away the key. Lock him up and throw away the key. Jail!
He said 4 days. Guilty.
Guys, day 1 of the Diddy trial just started, and it is worse than we even thought. The prosecution started with their opening statements, and they are basically saying that Cassie at some point had some escort urinate in her mouth. Who gives a shit about Amber Heard shitting on Johnny Depp's bed at this point? Then there are other allegations about Cassie overdosing at a party with an open wound on her face from a previous assault that Diddy did. And on top of all of that, Diddy used to get aggressive with Cassie anytime she would take too long in the bathroom or when she would show up late to something. Honestly, on day one of the prosecution arguments, opening statement, whatever you want to call it, this case is already getting hard to read. Now we know. Now we know why Cassie has been so loud and so vocal about the reason why she wants to speak out. As embarrassing as it is for her, and I'm sure it is extremely embarrassing for her, she knows that the only way to stop this is to speak out and to make sure that this man gets convicted. And so far, what it's being described in the courtroom is that Diddy is just looking off into space and just sitting there emotionless. I think this man knows that he's cooked already, and it's not going to end well for him. But again, if this is just the first hour of day one, I can't even imagine what we're going to see.
He paid an escort to pee in Cassie's mouth.
But the escort is testifying that Cassie wanted him to. And then he actually went on the stand and said, well, both of them told me to do it. And Diddy's defense being, I'm a domestic abuser, but my sex life is not a crime.
That move, it's a credibility move because his defense team knows that it's undeniable, it's caught on videotape. So what they're trying to say is, oh, it's not illegal to have a swinging lifestyle. It's not illegal to cheat on your girlfriend or to have 5 or 10 girlfriends. But it is illegal to hire escorts, and it is illegal to have escorts cross state lines, because you've got escorts testifying about the fact that they cross state lines for these freak-offs. Diddy screwed. He's going away. Really? Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
There's some guy out there somewhere telling his girlfriend, you think I'm the bad boyfriend? Look at this guy.
Jaguar Wright is at Diddy's trial. I get a lot of people asking, where is Jaguar Wright all the time? And I just found out this morning she actually made it to Diddy's trial.
Really?
I really feel like this is a full circle moment because I literally remember about 6 or 7 years ago when Jaguar Wright said that Diddy was a trafficker before we knew anything. So honestly, it came to a shock to me this morning being able to see her be present at Diddy's trial, and she is going to get to watch this in real time. Jaguar Wright does have a YouTube channel, The Jaguar Wright Effect, that she's on pretty much every single day, but she also has a new account she just made called The Jaguar Wright Show on YouTube, and this is where I think she'll be covering the Diddy trial. Right now, they're still trying to get the final 12 jurors and the 6 alternatives. They have not picked it yet. I'm going to have updates for you guys all day long, but I did want to share this quick clip with you guys of Jaguar Wright at the Diddy trial.
Whoa.
Hey, Kadisha! Honey, it's Kadisha Lynn. Hey! Yeah. Yeah, Kadisha. It is full circle. And salute to your plaque and so yeah, we here. We up here. Okay. It's been like kind of like a whirlwind. It feels like Mar-a-Lago. We were there, but we didn't really got to just kick it. We was there.
She gonna be there every day.
We here.
For sure.
Power to the people and free them all. It's it is a day, isn't it? Especially for this channel, for the Jaguar Wright Effect. It is a day. It's a day. We've been here, standing in the gap. So, here we are, and here we shall be.
So happy for her. It's literally a full circle moment after seeing her years ago say all of this about Diddy, and now she has her feet on the ground and is able to see this happen in person. But y'all, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
This is some crazy stuff, man.
If this Diddy puff had kept her isolated and she was able to find her voice, she began to say to herself, I have to be honest about what I have been through here. and she started to talk about what happened. But first, she did it in a way that would give him an out. She wrote a book and she offered it to him for $30 million. Here's all my stories and all our secrets. I will let you have it for 30 mil. But because he was so arrogant and so drug-addled and so unable to correctly perceive reality, that he said no. She gave him an opportunity to handle that privately, and he refused. And he played chicken with his life. And she let it out. They settled within a day, but by then it was too late. You had details of federal crimes in the newspaper from her story. At that point, it was too late. The FBI's like reading this in the paper, going like, well, we gotta investigate this. This is not about some liquor executive Illuminati bullshit. This is not about they're trying to tear down black men. This is about a black woman finding her voice and speaking her truth.
I respect that. Drug-addled?
I was in the courtroom as Cassie was testifying, so let me tell you guys everything that you didn't see or may have not heard, because it's a lot. I will say the most damning part of her testimony for me is when she describes a freak-off where Diddy and another man, an escort, are standing on top of her while she is laying on the floor high off of ecstasy, and they are urinating on her face to the point where she is choking on their pee. And to further give context, on the right-hand side of the court seated is her husband, Alex Fine. On the left-hand side, Diddy's 6 out of 7 kids. We're sitting in the courtroom as Cassie is describing having weekly freak-offs for years. That would last 2, 3, one lasted up to 4 days. She talked about damaging hotel rooms so bad in one instance that they had to pay such a hefty fee because the hotel told them that they needed to completely redecorate the room after a freak-off. After a freak-off, there would be blood, urine, and lots of baby oil. There was so much baby oil. There was also so much baby oil talk to the point where the judge at one point told prosecutors, wrap it up. But before we even got there, a very pregnant Cassie was called to the stand. She was wearing a tight brown turtleneck dress that was hugging her baby bump. When she sat down, you could tell she was nervous. And if you couldn't, you quickly picked up on it because once she started talking, you noticed that she paused a lot. She would sigh heavily before she answered a question. One of those moments was when she explained to the court that a year into their relationship, that Diddy had approached her with this fantasy that he had. He called it voyeurism, where he wanted to see her have sex with another man, later referred to as freak-offs. She said her stomach dropped. She was 22 years old. She described herself as very naive and a people pleaser. She said the only reason that she agreed to it is because she knew it would make him happy and she was afraid what would happen if she said no. That's also around the time, she says, that he started to get abusive. Most of her testimony today was spent on talking about these freak-offs, the different escorts that they would use, the different hotels that they would use. She said that she would find escorts off of Craigslist and this escort service called Cowboys for Angels. And to describe them, they weren't the most attractive men, right? They were very average looking. Some of them weren't even conventionally attractive. One thing they had in common is most of them were black because Diddy preferred for her black men with a big D, she said. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears when the prosecutor asked her, why didn't you leave? If the freak-offs, as you explained, were so disgusting and humiliating, why not leave? And she started crying and said that she was very deeply in love and this was the only alone time that she could get with Diddy. And it got to a point where this was kind of the only emotional connection that she was getting from this man that she was dating. So much more that I'll cover in another video, including his incessant phone calls, him tracking her down with his security, and her never being able to escape him.
Dang, sound like he was just a vulture.
Shit is getting real. Diddy just got denied having evidence thrown out to use against him during trial. And Diddy also just got denied his request to have 2 of his charges dropped against him. Diddy wanted all of the evidence thrown out from when the feds raided his house, and the judge just denied it, but he also denied it, basically calling out Diddy, saying there is a lot of evidence against you. Diddy was trying to say that there were certain text messages that the feds didn't add to get the search warrants between him and Cassie Ventura, and the judge just totally called him out. The judge actually says the full scope of these text messages actually show more probable cause as further evidence that Diddy physically abused victim 1 and that he coerced her using blackmail and that she didn't want to participate in some freak-offs. Diddy also tried to call out Cassie Ventura because of her civil lawsuit. He claimed that she had financial motives to lie because of her lawsuit, but the judge called him out on this also. Doesn't see after Diddy settled this case with Cassie how this undermines her credibility, that it actually does the opposite.
Yeah, she don't need the money. She already got it.
For decades, he was one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, a man who broke musical barriers and created business empires. But behind closed doors, Sean Combs, known as Diddy, in the words of a prosecutor, led a criminal enterprise where he used fame and power to and abuse his alleged victims.
His former girlfriend, the singer Cassie, is at the center of this case. And inside court, jurors were told during their 11-year-long relationship, she was subjected to extreme violence.
Part of their evidence is this disturbing video which shows the 38-year-old being attacked in a hotel.
Her testimony, when combined with that video, I think will be extraordinarily powerful.
Do you think he will take the stand?
It's in his interest to make this seem as if all of these victims were opportunists who wanted to get near his celebrity, to get near his money, to get near his fame, so it would reflect on them. I think the way for him to do that would be to get on the stand and say it.
But this case is in the hands of the 8 men and 4 women on the jury who also heard that he would force his accusers to take drugs and sleep with male escorts during so-called freak-offs. His childhood friend told me he expects him to be fully exonerated.
Like, how would you feel if you was locked up? You wouldn't feel good, right? You wouldn't feel good being in prison.
So Diddy believes he is innocent?
No, he knows he's innocent. He don't believe he's innocent. He knows he's innocent. There's a difference between believing and knowing.
How has it seen your father today?
Lawyers for the 55-year-old acknowledged he was violent but denied he was a racketeer or trafficker.
Until the allegations are cleared up, that's all it is. We can't move on that. It's just all allegations.
What about from an emotional perspective? How emotional has this been for you and the family?
It's been a lot. It's been really emotional. It's been really emotional for everybody. Especially if you love somebody you love and you see him going through this, that's what it is.
If convicted, Combs will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Those girls should have never been in that courtroom. I don't know who thought it was a good idea for those young ladies to be in that courtroom as their father's sex life has been put on display. No, let's be for real. Delilah, Jesse, I don't know if Chance was there, but none of those young ladies should have been in that room. I know they're trying to do the sympathy card, having those kids sit there behind him and cry and look like they're scared, which they are scared, but it's not appropriate. That has got to be some hard stuff to digest, especially having a male escort detail what this man allegedly did to the ex-girlfriend that he was dating. We say traumatized? I can say traumatized. Honestly, if Diddy was smart, he would tell them no longer to show up in court. Do not show up here. Do not allow them to be put through that. They've already gone through enough. Why would you allow them to go into that courtroom knowing good and well your whole life that is in the dark is about to come to light? No child should see that shit.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's Lauren LaRosa. So we are here. We are still outside of the court. Court just ended. Right now, y'all see all of the media over here. All of the media over there. I typically go over there, but it's just so much getting caught up in all of that. I don't feel like that today. Most importantly, I want to talk to y'all because there was a lot that went down today. Biggest thing, Cassie took the stand. This is the first time that Diddy and Cassie, that I'm told, have been in the same room in the last like 6.5 years. She went through and detailed a lot. So she gave us different steps of the freak offs. There's about 5 or 6 steps that she broke down. So she said that, you know, at first, step 1 would be this descriptive foreplay. So she says the male escort would get there and Puff would help her choose the male escort, right? Like it would be allegedly Puff would help her choose the male escort. So there would be, you know, photos sent to her through agencies, or she said they would even enlist on Craigslist at some points. If not Craigslist, she said at one point they did Backpage, and she wouldn't put up the ad, but she would have to answer to the ad using her actual contact information, is what she said. So she said they would get they would figure out who the men would be. The prosecutor asked, were there any specific requests when you were finding these men? And she said at one point the only thing would be the man would have to be a black man with a big dick. She said but at a certain point it expanded where, you know what I mean, they would just pick the men together. So descriptive foreplay would be first. So the guy would come in, they would be touching each other, masturbating, and she would have to out loud describe everything to Diddy, whether he was in the room or not. Then it would go to step 2, which would be touching. So at this point, they're rubbing baby oil on each other, lubricant. But she says that there was like a thing with the baby oil. Like there was like almost like an alleged like fascination where they would oil almost every 5 minutes because that's what Diddy wanted. He wanted you to be oiled to a certain extent. She made it very clear that they were a very choreographed event. It's so crazy because when she described the freak offs, I'm not even gonna hold y'all, I was like, it sounds like he was directing a music video, which I mean, you know, but it sounded like that. Like she said, you know, at one point it would only be like, you know, they would get extra linens, there would be a ton of baby oil and different lubricants, and it would be really messy because there'd be lubricant and oil everywhere, candle wax everywhere. But and these were actually smell good candles. She said that he always wanted to make sure it smelled really good, and she said that eventually the candles moved from candles to actual like lighting, like studio lighting or almost like party lighting. And they showed a photo of Puff in the court in a background that, you know, just like the red light that you would get from like Amazon. But she said that these were actually actual studio lights that could change on demand to different colors. She says that she alleges that Puff would even step in sometimes and be like, yo, y'all not oiled enough, like y'all need to oil more. Step 3 would then go to oral sex. She says that sometimes she would even like speed it up. Like she's alleging that, you know, at certain points she wouldn't want to be doing it so bad that she would speed up the touching just to get to the oral sex so she could get it over with. And then step 4 would be the actual intercourse. Now she said, depending on how familiar they were with the escorts, because they had some of their favorites. They listed a couple people that they dealt with a couple times, including the man who allegedly was in the room the day that the day that video that dropped on CNN happened. That escort is from a company that they work with all the time, and he was actually a familiar escort as well. If he was even in the room, because that's alleged, right? But she said that he was today. But depending on how familiar they were with these escorts, one of the escorts will be able to actually have sex with her while Diddy was having sex with her. So when she broke that down, she said, you know, like maybe one guy would be like having sex with her while she's giving Puff head, or vice versa. She just said it would be a lot going on. She said now there were certain times where Diddy would just want to watch, or even if he didn't watch, it would be a thing where they would have to come on her. And again, we've heard the male escort that was on the stand, I feel like some of her testimony today kind of made him not look as crazy, because Cassie said in her testimony today, she alleged that whenever they when they did come on her, Diddy would want her to keep it. They would go into a separate room and she would have to rub it on him. And they would go into the next room and allegedly Diddy would want...
Oh, hell no!
What? Nah. Whoa.
Want the escorts come on his body, and I believe she said it was on his nipples. Yes, Diddy allegedly would want to come on his chest or his nipples. She said at some points the freak offs could go with allegedly 1 to 4 different men, and they would do different sessions. So it'd be different men, different sessions throughout the time period, and it would last for hours. And she said sometimes as she was being fucked, or even afterward, like they would have conversations about it, and Diddy would ask her allegedly about the penis. Like he would ask her, how did it feel? What did it look like? How did it make her feel? And you know, she also admitted during this, and I know that the prosecution, the defense is going to lean in a lot on this. She admitted to having a lot of the freak off videos on her phones. She says that it wasn't just on her devices though either. She says that it was shared. Like sometimes she'd do it on her phone, sometimes she'd do it on his phone. It would be on camcorders. She alleged that it was between the two of them already. So within the first 10 minutes, she was already emotional and crying, but it wasn't like a hard, crazy cry. It was like just her she was tearing. She was actually really strong. Like, I was actually pretty surprised at how strong she was with all the circumstances, right? Because you got to think about it. She's sitting not only in front of Puff, who's looking straight at her the whole time, directly straight at her the whole time, but she's sitting in front of his family, his mother, his children, you know, some of the other children's moms that she has spent so much of her life with and built so many of these memories, good and bad, with. She mentioned a lot of drugs. She said that at one point during the freak offs, they were so high that they lasted for like 3 days. And she said, and the prosecutors asked her, well, at what point would you sleep? She said, I wouldn't. You know, and I'm not even gonna hold y'all, like, there were a lot of moments where she had some explaining to do. Like, there was text messages where she texted and said she wanted to freak off so bad, and this was the day of the video, the CNN video, the Cassie beating video. She talked about just all of the supplies that they would have, body oil, baby oil, candle wax, extra linens. She said there'd be blood on linens because a lot of times she was made to have sex on her period and she didn't want to. She alleges that she didn't want to. She says that there'd be a lot of times where there'd be urine on her and on the linen. And she said and she alleged that at some points it wouldn't even just be male escorts that would be peeing on her, that it would be Diddy and male escorts at the same time. Sometimes is what she alleged. And she said that at one point, like, she remembered just choking from it. And the prosecutors asked her, like, well, why didn't you just get up? Why didn't you tell him that this wasn't something you wanted to do? And she was like, I mean, I was so high, and you got two men standing over top of you. You're laying in the ground. Like, what am I going to do besides just put my hands up? Y'all know what? I was just trying to figure out. You want to say hi to my video? Yeah. Say hey. Hey. Tell them about your YouTube channel.
Celebrity Scandals. I'm with the beautiful.
This has been one of my media friends that I met so many people on the line and covering this case, but we were just talking about today, and I wanted to come back and tell y'all because I couldn't really put it into words how today made me feel, because like it didn't give trafficking and all that yet, even though they have talked about him paying for people to fly across state line, and I know they're gonna get to it, but I was like, how did today make me feel? And then I was like, you know what, it didn't make me, after watching her and detailing her history with him and all of that, it's going to take a lot to convince me that she's just out to get him for no reason. Like, I got a girl who was young, really, really in love. She was even very hesitant to answer some of the questions. Like, you could tell that, like, it's her nature to still kind of protect him a little bit, right? You got that too? Yeah, like, when they asked her, I forget what it was. I wrote the questions down, but, and I'll make a separate video on that, but there were certain questions they were asking her, and I'm like, man, she don't even really want, they asked her, why did they move to LA? And she was like, you know, his family, and I respected that. And she was like, but what do you mean his family? Like, exactly why? And she was like, his family. And
she said he wanted to be
closer to his family. And I'm like, she won't even go into detail about his certain personal things. In the beginning, that was in the beginning of her testimony. She did open up, but when I saw that, I'm like, man, she really loved this man, like, OD, like, honestly, like, so it gave you empathy. That's the word. And it made me be like, okay, I can hear him out now, because first they're not gonna hold you to defense, shut it down. It made me be like, oh, y'all gonna have to come real correct, because I don't know if I believe it all now, but today really kind of backed me up off of that. So
this is a lot.
Cassie was in court for the trial of Diddy. The individual asked Cassie what was the longest she participated in a Diddy freak off. She said the longest was 4 days. Y'all realize she endured 4 days of SA, right? 4 days of SA that woman went through. And before the people come in this comment section and sitting here saying, oh, well, Cassie, you know, she did it willingly because, you know, she had to, you know, she wanted to sit here and be a part of that lifestyle. She wanted to make sure she stayed rich and fit. There are women out there that literally get stalked, pulled in, and taken advantage of by broke men. There are men who aren't billionaires that take advantage of women and literally be like, you're not going nowhere, you're not going nowhere. And if some women try to run away, they get unalived. And most of these men be broke. Imagine that man be a multi-billionaire with a God complex, and he feels like he owns you. I can't imagine how terrifying that is. I gotta leave that girl Cassie alone, bro.
This is some craziness.
Took the money, signed the NDA, and she is still testifying because the government does not care that she signed an NDA. Day 2 Diddy trial, let's get to it. Cassie took the stand today. She testified to who Sean Combs is, their relationship, and said that they were together for 10 years. Cassie described their relationship. She said that it would often turn violent, that he would smash her, he would drag her around. Also, this is where she discussed freak off. In the first year of their relationship, Diddy introduced her to where she would have intercourse with other men in front of him. She didn't really remember where the term freak off came from, but this is what it was. She said eventually that this became a job for her. She's the one that arranged the hotels, getting people to show up, and this became like a job. She said that she loved him and she really didn't know how to say no to these freak offs. It kind of sounded like he was guilting her into doing it. Because she loved him, she felt like these arranging of freak offs was a responsibility to him. She wasn't sure what saying no would do. Would it result in him completely writing her off? Would it result in him being violent with her? And she was ultimately like a people pleaser, so she really just didn't know how to say no. Additionally, Cassie talked about how they first met, how she got into a relationship with Diddy. She said that on her 21st birthday, Diddy kissed her unexpectedly. She actually cried and ran off. They asked her, "Did you want to kiss Diddy?" She responded, "No, not at that time." They asked Cassie Ventura how Diddy influenced her career, and she said that he called the shots. All of them.
The man head is white as snow. He signed up for this stress. He not only embarrassed himself, he also embarrassing his children. Because they got to go through this with him. They have to be there to make sure that their father get a fair trial. What's done in the dark gonna come to the light. I'm all right with my few little couple dollars that God gives me. I sleep good at night knowing nothing ain't finna come back and bite me in my ass. What I told y'all about people that has money, they think they can do anything. They think they can't be touched. He was one of the ones that felt that if he couldn't be touched. Don't get me wrong, I know we all do it. But some people are addicted to y'all know what too. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't of God. We husband, wife, everybody do what they do. You know, do whatever you gotta do. But when they go to a whole different levels, baby, all this stuff this is just too much. This man has so many skeletons.
I like the way she talk, man. She give me that down south, you know what I mean? Like grandma wholesome vibe, you know what I mean? I like the way she talk.
In his closet. You couldn't even shut the door. He ought to be glad some of this shit out. Do I feel he might beat the case? I don't know. Do y'all feel he's gonna beat it? Because if he don't beat it, baby, he's facing, either way it go, he's still facing some type of time. You're still doing time right now. But if he don't beat it, it'll be a long time before y'all see him again. Y'all be having a ball in y'all hand. Blessings people be praying for. And here y'all would go sit on the island, drink, sit by the pool, do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And y'all still be going to do things like this to get y'all locked up. The people is not playing. They don't care who you are and how much money you got. Money can't get you out of everything all the time. So y'all better rethink y'all decisions. Look at this man. This is stress. This is not peace. This is not good. Okay? This is not good at all. He not just going through this. His children going through this. His mama going through this. He taking so many people that love him through decisions that he has made. Bad decisions. Hugs and love. Y'all be blessed, J-Lo.
I like her, man. J-Lo, I like her.
She didn't have enough reasons to dislike this man already. A very pregnant Cassie Ventura is currently on the stand, and these updates are heartbreaking. Within minutes of her testimony starting, she was already detailing horrific violence that she experienced at the hands of Diddy. And I do want to note before I start this that she was put in a very vulnerable position from the start. Diddy was her music producer. She was very young, and from what she details, she wasn't interested in dating him from the start, but we've all heard how this man just can't take no for an answer. I also need to add that this is all alleged. There's a few reasons she says that she stayed so long and kept engaging in these freak-offs, one of them being that he would blackmail her if she left. He took videos and he was threatening to hold those over her head if she decided to move on with her life. She said she was terrified that he was going to release these to the internet and that he definitely had the resources to do so. She also says that he controlled almost every aspect of her life. He was only on the stand for mere minutes when she started talking about the violence that came from Sean Diddy Combs. He said that he would frequently, on the head, drag her by her hair. If she was on the ground, then his foot would meet her face.
What?
There are several witnesses to these allegations. So a male escort testified yesterday and said that he had seen it with his own eyes, and we also saw video proof come out last year. Cassie is 8 months pregnant, sitting on that stand across from the man that she's accusing of these horrible actions. I can't imagine the strength that that takes. I'll keep you guys updated what else comes out throughout the day, but this is already heartbreaking and horrible, so if you think about it, say a prayer for Cassie, and this is just for entertainment.
So I've been locked in, I've been reading the reports on what's going on in this federal trial with Diddy. And y'all, day 2 was even wilder. So Cassie took the stand. And you know she's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant, so her belly out there hanging. They said she was calm, but she was ready to speak her truth. She broke it all down, y'all. Years of control, years of manipulation, and years of pain, as she stated. She said it started with love, but then it turned to freak-offs, as people out here would say it. She said this shit became her job. She was getting flown and passed around like a piece of cake. She said he ordered male escorts to come do that to her, all while he watched and recorded, and it was touching itself, y'all. And she said all in all, while this was happening, she was forced to take things to make her higher than a kite. She said one time it lasted for 4 days straight. She said she was out of her mind, but she wasn't thinking too much of it because the things she was high on a kite on made her not even think about it or feel it. Dang. Now listen to this, y'all. The reports say she listed everything that got her higher than a kite. Molly, Special K, GHB, shrooms, and that white girl Hannah Montana.
Dang.
Here's where it get a little bad. She said she wasn't the only one. She said it was more women doing this too, being forced to do it. The way the reports was saying it sounded like she was going through a psychological warfare. She said Diddy would send her to the gym to make sure her body was in shape and even get a plastic surgeon so she can be perfect. Her body can be perfect for these freak-offs. He wanted her to be top tier. And when she got dressed and everything, she had to send Diddy pictures of how the outfits looked on her so he can approve. That's what she said, and that's what the report's saying. She said if she told this man no about anything that he wanted her to do, he would then start doing a little blackmail, like, I send these pictures out, I pick these videos out of you, and y'all know what the videos consist of. I gotta go use the bathroom. I'm talking about number 1. But come on, bro. Face shot.
Face.
Diddy on that. That's what she was doing. Another escort testified and said, yeah, he had to come through, laid a pipe on her while he watched. And it can only happen when he's in there. They said the court even heard that one bill was so high in the hotel room, like it was jacked up. They was doing WWE moves. He was pile driving people in that jump.
Yo, this dude is crazy. Yo, this dude, his reporting style is wild. I'm trying to keep it together, but how he reporting this stuff is crazy.
They had to fucking remodel the jump. That's how wild they was getting in them freak offs. They say they found weapons in a safe. And you already know, 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Like I say, he was trying to get slippery sloped. Per reports, they say when Cassie said she got number 1 doing, the courtroom gasped like, what? You got what? He did what? They did what? She said she even choked on it, y'all. They said once again, some family members walked out after hearing that. They little ears and eyes could not take what was being shown and heard. Listen, I wasn't there. This is just me breaking down what I seen on reports and what people are saying from the courtroom that was there. None of these are my claims. These are just allegations. But if half of this is true, it's crazy. So with all that being said, Diddy lawyers was like, nah, this was all consensual. They said she stayed because she wanted to. They're saying that these stories are twisted and they're trying to make him seem like he was something that he wasn't. Y'all, day 2 is in the books. This trial is getting wild. I know it's going to get even crazier. So if you like the way I report on it, make sure you hit that follow button, share this video, like this video.
Yo, he is funny. He is funny.
All right, guys, we just got word on what's going on in that courtroom with Cassie and Diddy. So, boom, as soon as Cassie walks in, she does not even look Diddy's way, doesn't even blink at him, nothing. Meanwhile, this dude is literally staring Cassie down. Intimidation much? So in the beginning, they watch her take her oath, and then they ask her very simple questions like, when did you first meet Diddy? They also said that when Cassie was talking, she sounded very, very calm. I love that for her. Cassie also has her brother, her mom, and her husband there supporting her in the courtroom.
Crazy
Cassie also confirmed that in that videotape that we all saw with Diddy, literally, she was leaving off that day, trying to escape, really. Cassie also states that Diddy controlled a lot of aspects of her recording career. For example, Cassie signed a 10-album deal, but she only put out 1 album, 1 mixtape, and had a couple of songs that were unreleased or just got leaked. And apparently one of the prosecutors asked Cassie why she only had 1 album. And Cassie actually giggled and said, "Are you asking me that question?" Meaning he was the reason why she had no more music put out. But for now, they're on lunch break, guys. I will update you guys if you want. And let me know in the comments what you think.
What was Diddy's demeanor? What did his appearance look like?
His defense attorney said, "We want to tell you about Sean Combs, the guy who grew up in Harlem, came from nothing and made his way to be this mogul that we know." And at that moment, Sean Combs stood up for a while so that he could look directly at those jurors and the jurors could see him as he sort of is making his case in that moment. The prosecution is really hampering down on this idea that Sean Combs led a criminal enterprise and had other people doing his dirty work, if you will, in order to coerce women. The prosecution is saying you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were abused, they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking drugs and to performing sex acts. On the defense side, they opened up and immediately said that this is about infidelity, love, and money. The defense is making an argument that these relationships were consensual. There was an acknowledgement that he has issues, that there was drug use, that there was alcohol abuse, and that he was jealous. That is what the defense said. This through line that you're going to hear about in a relationship with him and some of these other witnesses that will be testifying is that they were toxic relationships and that jealousy was the through line. Watching what I could see the faces of his children when the prosecution was talking about the things that he was alleged to have done, using words like penetrating. I mean, these are 3 of his daughters that we saw in court, at least 2 of his sons, his mother literally 6 feet away from him. It's obvious that the family is united, but it must be incredibly hard as his children to hear some of the details of what the prosecution alleges happened.
Absolutely.
The witness testimony in Diddy's case today is going to leave your jaw on the floor. The courtroom wasn't just tense, it was traumatized. And baby, even his daughters had to step out. Yeah, let's get into it. The first witness was Israel Flores, a former hotel security guard. He testified about the incident involving Diddy and Cassie. He saw Diddy drag her by her hair down the hallway and into the hotel room. And his words, Diddy looked devilish. And they've got surveillance footage to back it up. This isn't just word of mouth. They brought the receipts. The second witness was an escort, and his shocking confession blew everyone's mind. His name was Daniel Phillips, and he testified Diddy paid him thousands of dollars to engage in actual acts with Cassie while Diddy watched. He said Diddy would get violent and aggressive, and one time he allegedly threw a bottle at Cassie and dragged her again. And he screamed at both of them. And get this, Daniel said he was so disturbed, he stopped showing up. The escort walked away. That should tell you everything. This is a pattern, not a one-off. Prosecutors aren't just building a case, they're building a timeline. They're showing the pattern of abuse, manipulation, and power trips masked by fame and money. These weren't just freak-offs. They were alleged operations of control. There are over 100 devices seized from Diddy's homes. Phones, hard drives, computers, and the Fed said it will take a month to go through it all.
Dang.
Courtroom energy was heavy. The testimonies were graphic that Diddy's daughters left the room. Yes, his own family couldn't sit through it. The public gallery was shocked. The jurors were reportedly stunned. This isn't just tea, it's gasoline on fire. Diddy's lawyers are saying this was all consensual between adults. They admit he has a temper and passed with drugs, but they are saying that doesn't make him a criminal. But when the prosecution is dropping tapes and timelines and emotionally wrecked witnesses, that consensual card starts to fold. All eyes are now on Cassie Ventura, who's expected to testify soon. If she does, it could be the most damning moment of the entire trial. She's the thread that ties all of this together. Her testimony could make or break this case. Y'all, stay tuned, stay seated, and stay ready because the tea in this federal courtroom is hot and we're just getting started. Y'all better get ready and buckle up.
All right, that was a compilation of Diddy TikToks, man, when it comes to the case and what's going on. Like I said, by now, it's probably a whole lot of other stuff going on. I think we're probably in day 3 or 4 now. So this is moving really fast. So what we're seeing in this video, like I said, today is all new news out right now at the moment. So I'm trying to stay on it as like I said, pause. You know what I'm saying? Trying to stay up to date with this stuff as much as possible, but it's moving a lot and it's moving fast, you know, and it's a lot of moving parts. This is some wild shit. This is some wild shit, though. This is like next level stuff, man. You made it this far, you a real one for real. What are your comments? What are your thoughts? Just what are your initial thoughts? Just put it in the comments. What are your initial thoughts, man? But hey, I'm here. Till next time, self-love and positivity, Fire Squad. I got you, you know it. Woo.